We're going to look at 4 objectives tonight, dead simple. The first one is to understand the difference between creation and evolution. Now that might sound really simple, but we have to start. Everybody needs to know where we're going with this. So by the end of this night, you should know the difference between creation model and evolution. What is the main difference? Next one. To understand the tree of life compared to the orchard. Some of you will be familiar with that. It's not talking about the tree of life in the Garden of Eden here. It's talking about the evolutionary tree of life compared to the creationist model, which they call the orchard. Okay, you'll understand that by the end of the night. Go on, Kev. This is the big one. Now, I'm not going to tell you where these things are, so you need to watch this very carefully. To be able to point out at least 3 problems with the theory of evolution. I'm not going to point out where they are, but your homework for next week will be to come up with 3 problems with the theory of evolution. You'll get the chance to put those across. And then the final one, Kev, thank you, is to know what evolution does not explain. That's a big thing. It's much bigger than it looks. To know what evolution does not explain. And also Matthew chapter 22 verse 37. So Luke 10, 27. Okay, somebody want to read it? Nice and loud.
So he answered and said, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbour as yourself."
Okay, and does somebody want to read Matthew 22:37?
Jesus said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind."
Okay, now the word used there's the Greek word, I'll put it up for you, is dienio. It's one of the ways of pronouncing it. And it means intellect. Now, one of the criticisms of the charismatic Pentecostal arm of church is that we don't think. We come into church and we switch off our brains. Everything's spiritual. Well, not everything is spiritual. Not everything is. And the Bible tells us that we are to use our minds. You know? And sometimes we're guilty, more guilty than perhaps other denominations in this, of switching off our minds. We watch things going on the God channel, we just presume it must be right. But we have a mind, an intellect to think. So throughout this, and I'm guessing, God willing, we're going to be on it for maybe 3 months. There's so much to look at. You will be engaging with your mind. If you don't understand something, just say. Because we can talk about it after. There will be things that you'll think, I really don't get that, but we can talk about it later.
The missing link, commonly thought of as a hypothetical ape-like creature. This evolutionary rock star is supposed to bridge the gap between man and ape, but there are missing links all over Darwin's evolutionary tree. And guess what? They are still missing. For instance, dogs and bears are thought to be cousins, related to each other through a missing link. The same could be said for every other gap in evolution. And some of these gaps are huge, like the gap between sea creatures with and without bones. While scientists have found fish fossils with bones and ones without, they have yet to find what goes in between. All types of animals are thought by evolutionists to have risen by the transformation of some other animal type. And as each part of the evolutionary tree branches from one type to another, there appears to be another missing link. And that's the big problem with evolution. Evolution depends on countless missing links, each of which lived in a past we can never know, and they all have supposedly gone extinct, replaced by their evolved descendants. For example, if some types of fish evolved into some types of amphibians, then there should have been a few changed along the way from 90% fish, then 80% fish, and so on until 100% amphibian emerged. but the evidence and the fish are still missing. Creation says that all life was created after its kind. We can easily see that creation has upheld that process to this day. Evolution says we have to trust that there are many unseen missing links out there. So it's plain to see that the theory of evolution is a theory full of gaps. What do you find more believable?
Records. If you want to know one of the major, it's major by the way, Charles Darwin said, if in 100 years' time we don't find the intermediary links between these so-called species that have evolved, then my theory was wrong. Well, they haven't really. There should be. They found a few things, and some of them have turned out to be fake, and some of them it's just, it could be all sorts of stuff. But there should be thousands and thousands and thousands of fossils which show the link between how things have evolved from, let's say, reptiles to birds and so on. There's just not. Right, okay. So first of all, in what way does evolution contradict creation? Somebody just give us an example. In what way? Pardon?
Timescale.
Time scale, okay. Time scale. So we're talking about 4 billion years from the first cell through till now. That's roughly what they say, 4 billion years.
The species can change kind.
The species can change kind. Now, out of time scale and the species that can change kind, you're going to have some Christians that believe in one time scale, some in another. You've got early Earth, late Earth, those that are somewhere in the middle. You've got people that believe in the gap theory, which we'll look at, okay? But the big contradiction is what Dean's just said, that species can change from one kind to another.
Creation, we believe God created everything, but that doesn't exist in the Big Bang.
Yes. Now, Ellie, that's absolutely spot on. However, in the theory of evolution, that doesn't even come into it. They just assume that life is already there. When Darwin wrote his book, he just assumed that life was already there. It was a case of how did it evolve. And the reason why it's important to know that is because when people say, I believe in evolution, they've not even thought about how life actually got there in the first place. See? It's massive. It's massive.
God said, let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land, that bear fruit with seeds in it, according to their various kinds. And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed, according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it, according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good.
Okay. Now, the average person that believes in evolution has no real understanding that the Bible teaches microevolution, right? They don't know that. What do we mean by microevolution? We mean that within each species, it can adapt, it can change, it can move on, it can evolve if you want to use the word evolve. So there were two dogs which produce a whole family of dogs, but a dog cannot move over the border to become a cat, or a cat can't move over to become a dog. But we believe in adaptation. The Bible teaches adaptation. So, for instance, just a simple example. A bear in the Antarctic is not dark brown. It's white. You see? It's adaptation. It can do that. The Bible teaches that. We don't have a problem with adaptation within a species. What the Bible has a problem with is a fish evolving into a bird. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's the most amazing thing, I think. I think the fossil record actually bears witness. I mean, it doesn't just bear witness, it shouts, it screams that there were different kinds, but it doesn't bear witness to them changing from one kind to another. It really doesn't.
Cattle and creeping thing and beast of the earth, each according to its kind, and it was so. And God made the beast of the earth according to its kind, cattle to its kind, and everything that creeps on the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness.
Wonderful.
Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them.
Okay? Everything reproduces according to its own kind, right? I mean, do you think the writer of Genesis wanted to massively emphasize that? Again and again, the writer of Genesis says things reproduce after their own kind. And even us, it says, let us make man after our own kind. Do you see what I mean? After our own kind. In our image. It's the same thing. Remember, Louis Pasteur said that life begets life. Life begets life. Dead matter can't produce life. Only life can produce life. Let us make man in our own image. So God breathed in Adam the breath of life begets life.
Yeah.
That's what Louis Pasteur said. Saved thousands of people's lives when he discovered that in the air there were all kinds of microorganisms that were infecting people and sheep and so on. I honestly believe that this is a non-argument. Personally, I think that the gaps in the fossil record are so big, they're so big, it's a bit of a non-argument. And so the first thing that you can say to people is, where's the evidence? You show me the evidence, that's the first thing. And Charles Darwin says, if we don't find the evidence in 100 years' time, my theory will fall flat. Well, it hasn't. And again, they're finding things wrong with Charles Darwin's book, Origin of Species. And again, they prop the image back up. It's like Dagon falling in the temple. They keep propping it back up again. What the Bible teaches is that there wasn't a single tree with a trunk, with one cell that branched out into everything that you see, but rather an orchard. So you begin with a pair of cats which produce all kinds of different cats, ranging from lions to little furry Persian cats with no. You ever see? I see one on the milk round in the morning, right? It's got no hair. You ever seen them?
Yeah.
It's massive and it's got no hair on its body. It's just like this skinny. Looks like an alien. So we believe in an orchard. We believe in an orchard. We don't. When I say we believe, it's what the Bible teaches. There are many different ones, but they came from a common ancestor. Okay, just go down, Kev. Okay, now this is important, because again, a lot of Christians don't know this. Everyone agrees that there is an appearance of design in living things, right? That's not up for question, and this is where it gets quite comical. Because even, the most pronounced of speakers that have a real problem with the Bible agree that there is an appearance of design. They don't say design, they say an appearance of design, which is comical, but that's what they say. Design, when we talk about design, when they talk about design, it means the purposeful arrangement of parts. Okay? The purposeful arrangement of parts. So when it says everyone agrees that there is an appearance of design, what it means is everyone agrees that there is an appearance of a purposeful arrangement of parts. Purposeful. Right? Okay, Kev, just drop it down more. This is what Richard Dawkins says. Biology is the study of complicated things that give the appearance of being designed for a purpose. Okay?